Srimad Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Gauravani Vishesha Shurya Paschatya Jaya Shri Krishna Jaya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Nitya Nitai Gaur Sundar Jaya, Nitai Gaur Sundar, Nitai Gaur Sundar Jaya, Nitai Gaur Sundar. Jai Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jai Srila Gurudev. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivajitacharya Stotrishatha Shri Srimad Divine Yes Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so Gopi Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Antaranga Tulsi Devidasi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Welcome Mataji on ICF forum Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna. We can start.
Okay. Thank you so much. Am I audible clearly? Is my audio clear?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for having me here again. And in fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagara Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagararita Shri Vishakhan Vedamscha Om Jnanajnanasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschalya Deshadarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Madeka Bandhu Matsangin, Madguru Manmahadana, Mandastaraka Madhavya, Madananda Namastate, Asadu Sadata Dayin, Natini Chojtakara, Ana Gunchakadachin, Premna, Hirkantayospura. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nigamakалпатaro Galitam Phalam Shukamukat Amritavasam Nitam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muraho Rasika Bhuvibhavakaha. Reading from Canto 4, Chapter 3, Text 1 to 7. So before we enter into the chapter, I wanted to discuss a little bit about Canto 4 in general, the wonderful importance of Canto 4, especially for us practicing devotees. So there is one central theme. Srimad Bhagavatam itself has a central theme, which is focusing on the pastimes of Sri Krishna and how Krishna is always endeavoring to deliver the souls from this world. The central theme of Srimad Bhagavatam, as such, there are many themes that run throughout Srimad Bhagavatam from Canto 1 to 12. But there is one particular theme that runs through Canto 4. So, can anyone think what is that one theme or one thing common throughout the different pastimes that have come in Canto 4? So in Canto 4, I'll give I'll explain what Canto 4 consists of. Canto 4 begins with Daksha's pastime, Lord Shiva and Daksha's pastime, and then there is Dhruva Maharaj's pastime, and then there's Prithu Maharaj's pastime. So can you think of something common in these three pastimes?
Hare Krishna,
Yes.
Mataji. Anger and pride. Just I'm trying, Mataji. Anger and pride, it's coming overall.
You are very close to the answer. Correct. Anger and pride, but this pride fuels something. And
Ego,
that
Mataji. Ego. False ego.
very close to false ego. The pride is fueling one particular quality, and that quality is vented out in the form of anger. So which quality is that?
Envy.
Lust. Lust.
Envious.
Envy. Envy is the central theme of this fourth canto. And another beautiful aspect of fourth canto is it is not the demons envying demigods or demigods envying demons, but all the characters in fourth canto in the different pastimes are all devotees of the Lord. It is devotees envying another devotee. That is another very interesting part of fourth canto. Generally, we have Hiranyakashipu envying Prahalad Maharaj, or Ravana envying the Supreme Lord Ramachandra. So they are very clear: bad person, good person. But in Canto 4, it's all grey shade. There is Daksha. Who is Daksha? He is the son of Brahma. He is a worshipper of Vishnu. He is a demigod. He is a Prajapati. He is one of the person universal management. He is envying another devotee who is Lord Shiva. Similarly, we find in Dhruva Maharaj pastime, Suruchi is not a demon. She is also a pious lady. She is a devotee of the Lord. She is the queen. She is the mother, stepmother of Dhruva. She is envying Dhruva. And we see Dhruva is also angry because of her envy, and he is also he is not a very pure devotee like Prahalad Maharaj, who is completely unconditionally devoted. He is very angry. He wants to achieve something. She spoke to me like this. I'm going to take revenge by getting the throne, like that. And then we find Prithu Maharaj pastime. It is a height. There is a fourth kind of ends with Prithu. It is a height when the demigod, the king of the demons, Indra, he is envying Prithu Maharaj, who is actually an incarnation of the Supreme Lord himself. He is also a Maha Vaishnava. He is the empowered incarnation of the Lord. And Indra is envying him. And all the more we see that pastime is so beautiful. It appears as if the Lord, Vishnu, Brahmaji, they're all supporting Indra in the end. It appears like that. So therefore, this fourth canto is especially important for practicing devotees, because in devotee association, we will experience all these problems. We may envy another devotee, or we find that there are devotees envious and there are issues between devotees. So, how to deal with those issues and how we should react when we face these issues is all very beautifully described in fourth canto. This fourth canto, every situation, every pastime is a living example for us to apply in our life, day to day, what issues we face. Because it is very common, it is devotees do not get very much affected when there is a problem going on in the outside material world, because devotees know that okay, this is how material world is, it is filled with issues, this is Kali Yuga. But when devotees find those kind of issues, the influence of Kali within the devotee society, they get very disturbed, and this leads to many issues like people leave ISKCON, or they feel themselves, they go through great difficulty when they see this happening in devotee situation. But this fourth canto teaches us how we can face through the situation. It is not just today that it is happening within our ISKCON or within the devotee community, but even in age-old days, even between demigods, who are all great devotees of the Lord, who are all knower of the scriptures, they also had these issues. And we can see great personalities like Brahma, Vishnu, they all come to mediate in these kind of issues. The Lord themselves come and mediating. Great sages like Narada, they all come and sort out the issues. So that is one thing. Another beautiful aspect of fourth canto is it describes how devotees in all the modes can perform Krishna consciousness. we ended the third canto and we're entering the fourth canto. The third canto ended with the teachings of Kapila Muni. In there, Kapila Muni has described the 81 types of devotional service. You all remember that? He teaches the 81 types, which are the devotees in the three modes. They perform. The chapter is it describes the mixed devotion. There is pure devotional service. There is mixed devotional service. Not all devotees are completely pure to perform pure devotional service. There are devotees on the path from being ignorant person to becoming pure devotee. There is a long process through which devotees are practicing devotion. That is also one variety of devotion. So Kapila Muni, he talked about those 81 varieties of devotional service. So this fourth canto, it gives a glimpse of those different types of devotees. So here we find in Canto 4, Daksha is a devotee of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the mode of ignorance. We find that after this whole Shiva and Daksha pastime is over, actually Daksha prays to Vishnu and he gets the goat head and everything is also Daksha, he performs bhakti in the mode of ignorance. Then we find Dhruva Maharaj who is performing bhakti in the mode of passion. He is very passionate to achieve his throne bigger than his grandfather's throne. His impetus to perform bhakti is from the mode of passion. And then we find Ritu Maharaj, he is performing devotion. His devotion is in the mode of goodness. He performs devotion, performing the sacrifices. He wants to perform the sacrifices, complete the sacrifices for the pleasure of Lord in the mode of goodness. That comes in the mode of goodness. And then the Lord comes and tells him that it is not needed to perform the sacrifices to please me. If you give up the desire to perform the 100th sacrifice, that itself will please me. Then he comes out of goodness. So Prithu Maharaj's devotion is the mode of goodness. So therefore, this the fourth canto gives us a glimpse of how devotion can be performed in all these modes. And we should come out from these modes and we should perform pure devotionals. And one should eventually come to the mode of goodness, perform devotion, and then slowly come out of goodness and perform pure devotional service. So that is beautifully explained in the fourth canto. So now, how come this whole story of Daksha is coming into is being spoken in Srimad Bhagavatam? In the end of the first chapter of fourth canto, we saw how the genealogical table of Swayambhu Manu's family was explained. After explaining all the 16 daughters, the 16th daughter, Maitreya says, she was Sati, she was the wife of Shiva, and she gave up her body because of the tension between father-in-law and son-in-law. When Vidura heard this, he said, how is this possible? Vidura asked the question in the beginning of the second chapter of this canto that we see that Parvati is Sheelavatam. She's a girl, she's a lady of all good qualities. And Lord Shiva is a person who no one can envy. He's the purest devotee. So how come someone could envy Shiva? And how come Parvati Devi, who for everyone one's life is very close to oneself? So what was such a big tension between both of them that she had to quit her life? So this was very interesting, and also it was mentioned in the last Maitreya said that they didn't have any children also. So this was a big question for Vidura. And he asked this question. Then in chapter 2, Maitreya explained that there was once the reason for this tension was this Daksha, he was not so happy at the time of marriage itself, giving Sati in marriage to Shiva. He was not very happy. He did not like Shiva as such from the beginning. But even after accepting him as his son-in-law, he was still not happy. And he did not like him because Daksha is a king, he is a Prajapati, he is materially very, very opulent. And Shiva, on the other hand, is completely opposite to him. He doesn't even have a house, he doesn't wear ornaments, he doesn't even have proper clothes. He's like that. So so naturally Daksha considers Shiva very inferior to him. And he did not like that this Shiva was being very much glorified among all the demigods and everyone, very, very much respected. So actually, Daksha, he did not have any respect for Lord Shiva. And all the more so, then one time what happened? So these two personalities, they were always having tension, but they were living far, far away. One day, one sacrifice was being performed where Daksha and Shiva happened to meet each other. And when they came close, they were all seated in the assembly. All the demigods had come. Brahma was there, Shiva was there, Gandharvas, the sages, the whole universal, all the universal heads were present in that yajna. And Daksha enters that place. When Daksha enters, Daksha is uh, uh, such a well-known, influential political person in the universal management that all the demigods, all the sages, they all got up when he came. And when he came, everyone got up. Whether they had respect in mind or not is a different thing. It is very clearly explained. They were all kind of scared of him actually. So they all got up when he came. But there are two personalities who didn't get up. One was Brahma, one was Shiva. Now, Brahma, he is the father of Daksha, so he need not get up. So that was not so much bothering Daksha. But when Daksha said Shiva, I did not get up, he was already very envious of him and he got so upset. He got so angry. And but actually, Lord Shiva, there are many reasons. This whole Shiva Sati pastime, it has so many angles to look at the pastime. You can see from Daksha's angle, because first it seems as though Daksha is, the way he speaks to Lord Shiva, it seems as if Daksha is speaking for the good of Lord Shiva. Or he says, I am not actually offended by him not getting up, but this is not the proper moral code. So, like that, Daksha has his own ideas. Lord Shiva's not getting up has so many reasons. It is not just one reason. It is one side, it is saying that he was already meditating on the Supreme Lord and he was unaware of the external. He was closed from the external situation. So that is one reason. Another reason is, even if he was externally aware, still it is not needed for him to get up when Daksha comes. So there are so many reasons. Similarly, Sati's desire to go to the sacrifice, as we will see in this chapter. Sati wants to go to the sacrifice and Shiva stops her. Sati will seemingly tell some reasons in this coming verses. She will tell reason that I want to go to see my relatives, I want to decorate nicely. And Prabhupada's purport also will be in line with that. Okay, this is Sati's nature. But as Sati gives up her body, those purports Prabhupada will reveal that the real desire for Sati going to the sacrifice, despite Shiva's warning, was to actually establish the greatness of Lord Shiva. Or Sati's idea was, if my father, I will try to go and convince my father to invite Lord Shiva to the sacrifice. If he invites, then the sacrifice will happen nicely. If my father still continues to perform the sacrifice by insulting my husband, then I will ensure the sacrifice will not happen. So that is the internal reason why she went to the sacrifice. So when by the end of the time one reaches the end of this pastime, and when we very analytically study, there are so many different lessons within this one pastime. So many internal reasons why each person did that particular act. Why Lord Shiva Brahma was silent. Why Vishnu came in the end only. Why Vishnu, and it's very interesting, in the second yajna that Daksha performs, Brahma and Vishnu do not come to participate only, because they know one big incident is going to happen. And finally they enter the scene. So it's a very, very thrilling, very beautiful pastime, this Daksha Shiva pastime. So now let's enter the third chapter. We'll begin with next one. Someone will be reading the verse.
Hare Krishna. Mataji, you want us to read the verse, translation and purport, all three?
Yes, Mother.
Hare Krishna. Vasudha Mataji, you can read the verse and translation. And Vrishabhanu Kanya Mataji, you can do the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat. Maitreya Uvacha Sada Vidvisat Evam Kalo Maanayoho Jamatu Swasurasyapi Sumahan Ati Chakrame. Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Shobha Mataji, you can read the translation, and Janki Mataji the purport. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Yes, Mataji, I am reading purport.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maitreyi continued, in this manner, the tension between the father-in-law and son-in-law Daksha and Lord Shiva continued for a considerably long period. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. The previous chapter has already explained that Vidura questioned the sage Maitreya as to the cause of the misunderstanding between Lord Shiva and Daksha. Another question is why the strife between Daksha and his son-in-law caused Sati to destroy her body. The chief reason for Sati's giving up her body was that her father Daksha began another sacrificial performance to which Lord Shiva was not invited to all. Generally, when any sacrifice is performed, although each and every sacrifice is intended to pacify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, all the demigods, especially Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva and other principal demigods, such as Indra, Chandra, are invited and they take part. It is said that unless all the demigods are present, no sacrifice is complete. But in the tension between the father-in-law and son-in-law, Daksha began another yagna performance to which Lord Shiva was not invited. Daksha was the chief progenitor employed by Lord Shiva, and he was a son of Brahma. So he had high position and was also very proud. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada gives a small recap to what happened now. And Maitreya Muni in this verse he says that so in this way for a long time there was issues going on between both of them. Now, now what Daksha does, he wants to start a sacrifice, and his idea for starting the sacrifice was specifically the motive. Generally, sacrifice is done with the motive of achieving something material or pleasing the demigods. But the motive of the Daksha's yajna was to insult Lord Shiva. He was still not happy with the insult that he gave to Lord Shiva in the previous yajna. He still wanted to vehemently insult Lord Shiva, and therefore he started a yajna and he did not invite Lord Shiva. Now, whenever there is a sacrifice performed for the pleasure of Vishnu, Prabhupada explains the purport that Vishnu is the person who is meant to be pleased, but still one has to respect all the demigods and give the demigods their honor of respect. They should be invited. But if these people are not present or if they are not pleased, then the sacrifice is incomplete. So here Daksha not inviting Lord Shiva, of course, then the sacrifice is considered to be incomplete sacrifice. And we will see as it proceeds that even Brahma and Vishnu also did not attend that sacrifice. So it was only the demigods, it was just a plain show off of opulence rather than a proper sacrifice. And one beautiful lesson that we get from this is that as practicing devotees, we also work only for the pleasure of the Lord. But we should be very careful not to disrespect any demigod or any devotees of the Lord. Because if we disrespect the demigods and we worship Krishna, then surely Krishna will not be happy. This is one lesson that we get from this, and in all the coming purpose till text 7, this point Srila Prabhupada will again make. We can proceed to text number 2.
Hare Krishna. Janki Mataji, you can read the verse and the translation. And Sharmila Mataji, you can read the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yada dakshastu brahmana paramestina prajapatinam sarvesham adipatye smayo bhavat. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation, when Lord Brahma appointed Daksha the chief of all the Prajapatis, the progenitors of population, Daksha became very much puffed up. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Although he was envious and was inimical towards Lord Shiva, Daksha was appointed the chief of all Prajapatis. That was the cause of his excessive pride. When a man becomes too proud of his material possessions, he can perform any disastrous act, and therefore Daksha acted out of false prestige. That is described in this chapter. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay. So, Abhishiktaha. So, Abhishiktaha means appointed. So, those days when you make an appointment, it is like doing Abhishek, you know. Abhishiktaha. Abhishiktaha Dakshastu Brahmana Parameshthina. Brahma is called Parameshthi. The same word, you can mark it up, Parameshthina. The same word Parameshthi, Srila Daksha will use in the coming, when there is the yagya is going to be a disaster. At that time, again, this word Parameshthi will come. And Daksha, just a second. I think it already went. It is in 4th canto, chapter 2, text 16. So in the previous yagya, when Daksha was insulting Lord Shiva, at that time he mentions this, that on the request of Lord Brahma, I handed over my chaste daughter to him, although he is devoid of all cleanliness and his heart is filled with all nasty things. So actually, Daksha was not interested in giving Sati to Shiva. But then he mentions, because of this Brahma, who told that I should give her in marriage to him only, I gave. So at that time, he used this word, Chodite Parameshthina. The Sanskrit says Parameshthina. So actually, this was a very sarcastic way of addressing Brahma. This Parameshthi, this great person told that I should hand over my daughter to him. And look what has happened now. So he was actually not only insulting Shiva, but sarcastically he insulted his own father Brahma, who is the father of this entire manifestation. So therefore that Brahmana Parameshwara, so even after that happened, insulted in this way, still Brahma appointed Daksha as the chief of the Prajapatis. Still he was appointed. Abhishikto Dakshasto. Prajapatinam Sarvesham Adhipatye. He was the chief, Adhipatya of all the Prajapatis. Other Prajapatis we know, no? Kardama is a Prajapati, Kashyapa is a Prajapati, Ruchi is a Prajapati. So these sages are all Prajapatis. This Daksha was made the chief of all the Prajapatis. And because of this, what happened? Daksha became very puffed up. He was already very envious. When he received such a high post, his pride increased. And now he got all the more on the strength of Brahma's empowerment, Brahma's giving him this position, he became more puffed up and he did not care for anyone. Now no one can do anything to me. I am kind of the most powerful person. Whatever I do is correct. He got this kind of a mentality. This was the cause of his excessive pride. And Prabhupada says, when a man becomes too proud of his material position, he can perform any disastrous act. This is a very, very important statement. And we see this statement is now becoming true. So many disastrous activities are happening between countries. They're having war. It's all because of them becoming too proud of their material positions. Everyone wants to become a superpower. And when they become superpower, they begin to trouble the other minor nations just to show their opulence. And that becomes a very disastrous act. It ends up in the disaster. It ends up in distressing so many families. So many people, millions of people are facing the trouble of this. This is applicable for countries, this is applicable for state, this is applicable for village, this is applicable for families, and this is applicable within our society also. When the leaders, they become very puffed up, then that leads to disaster. That leads to the, at times it leads to the degeneration of the whole society. Therefore, one should be very careful of not becoming proud of what one has. How can one not become proud of what one has? one can be, like for a material man, what he will say, to not become proud of something. They will always look up to people who have more. I still don't have that much. So, the person who has more can be pride. The person who has less, he always looks up to a person who is having more. This is the nature of material world. No matter how much one has, one will always see the neighbor and one will try to achieve more. This is a very, very common, this is how the material world works. Because that is why we came to the material world. We saw Krishna and we became envious of Krishna and we came. So we can never be satisfied unless we give up that envy. So in the material world also, no matter how much the Lord blesses us with whatever we want, we always look at the other person and we see he has that and I still don't have that. So therefore, one is always envious. And envious, sometimes we may feel it is not envy, but actually it is a very, very subtle form of envy. We think that envy is only when we do something to put the other person down, or we feel bad when the other person is becoming big or glorified. But sometimes if we look into our heart, there's very subtle form of envy also. That subtle form of envy only, slowly it grows, and then we realize we are envious, or when we perform such activities, like we start feeling bad when someone is being glorified. So that is actually the overflowing of envy in our heart that makes us perform that act of being not happy when someone is becoming great. But actually, that must have started way back. We must have had a small desire of envy for that person, and slowly, that has becoming big, and finally, it is overflowing. So this pride, in Isha Parishad, there's a beautiful verse. Isha Vashamidam Sarvam Yat Kinchit Jagatyam Jagat. Tena Taktena Bhujita Magradha Kasasud Dhanam. This is the first verse of, after the invocation, this is the first mantra of Isha Parishad. So in this, Isha Vashamidam Sarvam. Everything is actually, Prabhupada calls it the Isha Vashya principle, which means the principle is everything belongs to Krishna. And everyone, as per their karma, as per their activities, they are allocated one quota in their life. So this is the quota for this life. This quota also actually doesn't belong to you. It all belongs to Supreme Lord. But for now, it has been given as your quota. So therefore, tena tyaktena punchita magradha kasyasya dhanam. One should be satisfied with one's own quota and not ask for more, or not be envious of another person's wealth. Magadha, and not try to take some other person's wealth. Magadha kasisud dhanam. And what is your quota also? One should know that everything in this world is under the proprietorship of the Lord, and I have been blessed with this much for me. If one has this principle in the mind clearly established, then one will not have this pride at all. So in that purport, Srila Prabhupada says this is the Bhagavata communism. Communism, they think that everything belongs to everyone, it should be equally distributed among the people. So that is correct, the principle is correct. But they think everything belongs to the state, and they have the communism doesn't work properly. But if you understand everything by Bhagavata communism, following the Ishavasya principle, then everything belongs to the Lord. Lord is everyone's father. We are all brothers and sisters, and we all have our own quota, and we should be happy with our own quota and use our quota in service of the Lord. Ishavasya principle is the first mantra. But before that first mantra, Isha Upanishad begins with the invocation verse, which is Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. So that verse, what is it? There's a big meaning to that verse. One point of that verse is that the Lord is Purnam, and in this material world, there is a Purnam arrangement for us to go back to the Supreme complete whole, the Supreme Lord. So what quota we have given, that will be completely satisfying for us only if we use it in the service of the complete whole. If we don't use it in the service of complete whole and for our own enjoyment, then that is not in the principle of Ishavasya principle. Then that will not give the universal peace, that will not give peace to that particular person. So then, of course, you will start feeling proud of what you have, because you do not have the knowledge that what I have is the Supreme Lord's property and it is to be used in His service. If that is gone out of the mind and you start using it for your own satisfaction, like Daksha did, then we will become proud. Daksha should have understood that I have been established as the chief of Prajapati. What is Kardama was a Prajapati. Look at Kardama's mode, we saw in third canto. He was performing the service of Prajapati. He did not become puffed up. I am Prajapati. No, he completely surrendered to the Lord and said, you want me to do the service of Prajapati? You make all the arrangements. I will do the service and you ensure that I don't get entangled in the service. And so we see how beautifully the Lord arranged a wife for him. The Lord appeared as his son, and even though the Lord was in his home as the son, still Kardama, when time came, he departed for the forest. He left all his services as Prajapati. He performed his service. He populated the universe with 13 daughters and one son, and he went to the forest and began to perform his devotional, continued to perform his devotional service and go back to God. So that is one Prajapati who was in the proper mode of service. And here is one Prajapati who took the title Prajapati, who took the post Prajapati as for himself. And he is becoming proud. And look at the devastation that he is going to cause. So therefore, even in one is what we have, we should understand this the Lord's property and we should use it in his service. And within our society, in ISKCON, when we get some position, say a Yatra leader or Bhakti Vriksha leader, one should understand that that is also like this post of Prajapati, which we should use in the service of the Lord, but not become the leader, Bhakti Vriksha leader, and take personal benefits from that position. Rather, that position should be completely used in service of the Lord. That position, or whatever position we have in this material world, someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's well-wisher, someone's friend, someone's in charge, someone's boss, all that ultimately is in that position. We should always help others in getting closer to Krishna and ourselves getting closer to Krishna. If we don't do that, then surely we will start getting proud of what we have and we will be causing disaster to ourselves. That is the major part of it. Ultimately, we're causing disaster to ourselves and will also be causing disaster to those who are around us. Let's proceed to. So Prabhupada says that is described in this chapter. So this whole chapter is just a description of the disaster caused by Daksha's pride. We can see what envy and pride will do. In the end of this chapter, you will see. Everyone will be counter-cursing each other. Lord Shiva's followers, Daksha's followers, Daksha himself, the whole universe will be in a mess. You will see as we proceed.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Sudha Mataji, you can do the words. Krishnamurti Prabhuji, the translation, and Anita Mataji puppet. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji pranams. Ishtva sa vajapayena brahmishtan abhibhuya cha brahaspati savam nama samarebe kratuttamam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams Mataji. Translation by A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada ki jai. Daksha began a sacrifice named Vajapaya and he became excessively confident of his support by Lord Brahma. He then performed another great sacrifice named Brahaspati Seva. Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams Mataji.
Hare Krishna, purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. In the Vedas, it is prescribed that before performing a Brihaspati Sava sacrifice, one should perform the sacrifice named Vajapaya. While performing these sacrifices, however, Daksha neglected great devotees in Lord Shiva. According to Vedic scriptures, the demigods are eligible to participate in yajnas and share the intentions with Daksha wanted to avoid them. All sacrifices are intended to pacify Lord Vishnu, but Lord Vishnu includes all his devotees. Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the other demigods are all obedient servants of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, Lord Vishnu is never satisfied without them. But Daksha, being puffed up with his power, wanted to deprive Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, of participation in the sacrifice, understanding that if one satisfies Vishnu, it is not necessary to satisfy his followers. But it's not the process. Vishnu wants his followers to be satisfied first. Krishna, yeah. First, Lord Krishna says, Mat Bhakta Puja Vyadika, the worship of my devotees is better than the worship of me. Similarly, in the Shiva Purana, it is stated that the best mode of worship is to offer oblations to Vishnu, but better than that is to worship the devotees of Krishna. Thus, Daksha's determination to neglect Lord Shiva in the sacrifice was not fitting.
Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada very beautifully explains. So the Daksha began another sacrifice. The name of that sacrifice was Brihaspati Sava. This was the next sacrifice he was doing. So he had already done the Vajapaya sacrifice. And then now he wants to perform Samarebhe Pratuttamam, the best of the sacrifice, Prata Uttamam, the best of the sacrifice. And the Brihaspati Shava is considered the best of the sacrifice. And therefore he wanted to do this. Or just to show off his position, show off his opulence. That was the purpose of it. So therefore, Daksha was neglecting Lord Shiva. And Prabhupada mentions how one should never neglect the devotees of the Lord. The Lord gets very upset by this. The Lord always wants his devotees to be satisfied first. And this Damodar month is a very wonderful example of that. How the Lord wanted to satisfy his mother and he allowed himself to be tied. So that is the limit to which how much the Lord loves his devotees. And so if one is hurting the devotees, then how can we expect the Lord will be pleased? So therefore, the Daksha performing the sacrifice was completely useless. He was not pleasing the Lord, which was the purpose of the sacrifice. Further, he was insulting the devotees of the Lord, which would anger the Lord. And further, he was simply causing his disaster by performing the sacrifice. He thought he is going to get benefit. He's going to show off and he's going to get happiness by performing the sacrifice. But it eventually led to the loss of his own daughter. In front of his eyes, he saw his daughter leaving her body. Furthermore, he saw the disaster. He saw the disastrous ending of his opulence, and he lost his own head also. So this is the end when one disrespects a Vaishnava. When one disrespects a Vaishnava, this can happen. Therefore, one should be very careful of disrespecting a Vaishnava. Even at heart, one should not think bad or think ill for a Vaishnava. One should always feel oneself very fortunate to be in the association of Vaishnavas. There are so many examples of how Srimad Bhagavatam gives so many examples of how when devotees are insulted, when devotees are not worshipped properly, the Lord gets upset. Like, for example, Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni. How he was, Durvasa was running everywhere just because of offending one Vaishnava. And no matter how many Vaishnavas forgive you, or how many Vaishnavas try to protect you, the one whom you offended, you have to take, one has to repent to that particular person. Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, everyone was there. They were all trying to help Durvasa, but he had to go back to the person whom he offended. So the Lord, he is so sweet, he is so personal that he loves each and every devotee of his. It is not that I don't like one devotee, but like all other devotees, that is okay, No, we have to love every part. We are part and parcel of the Lord, and we have to have a very good relation with every part of the whole. Because if you're having envy with one devotee, and you say that I have envy with only one devotee, I really love Krishna like anything, and I love all his devotees like anything. It is actually useless, because you're still envying one part of Krishna. Because that every devotee, every person in this world is actually a part and parcel of Krishna. So you're saying, I like this whole flower, but I don't like one petal. I want to remove that one petal from the flower and keep the flower. No, that is not possible. You have to love the flower as a whole. That is the beauty of it. So therefore, one should be very careful. There are so many examples, so many examples, even in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, when Sachi Mata, devotee, mother of the Lord, Jagat Janani, she is the mother of the universal personality himself. Sachi Mata, she just thought that this Advaita Acharya, he took away my son. He is my elder son. Sachi Mata had the first son, Vishwarup, elder brother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was always in the association of Advaita Acharya. They were always speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. And eventually, when Vishwarup came to know that his parents were arranging for his marriage, he was not interested in getting married. So therefore, he left home and took sannyas. So Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra were completely shattered. And that time Sachimata told, oh, this Advaita, he says that he says he doesn't see any difference. No Advaita, Advaita. But he separated my son from me. In this way, she just passed a statement. And Mahaprabhu, after a long time, after what this had happened, after a long time, one day when he was giving mercy to everyone, the devotees of the Lord told, why are you not giving mercy to your own mother, my dear Lord? So that time Mahaprabhu said, I cannot give mercy to her for she insulted Advaita Acharya. And the day she goes and takes the dust from Advaita Acharya and begs forgiveness from him, that day I'll give mercy. Advaita Acharya was hearing this. When he heard this, he got the shock of his life. He said, how will I ever accept Sachimata falling at my feet? This is completely unacceptable. How can you say that she committed an offense to me? How can your mother, who is the mother of the entire universe, she cannot commit any offense? This is nothing. This is completely unacceptable. So then one day when they were performing Kirtan, the Kirtan was so ecstatic that Advaita Acharya, he became unconscious in ecstasy. And Sachimata, she took that opportunity. She grabbed the dust from the lotus feet of Advaita Acharya and then Mahaprabhu, he bestowed mercy upon Sachimata. He was very pleased. So this is of course just a pastime of the Lord. Surely Sachimata cannot offend Advaita Acharya. But Mahaprabhu is showing that how even if it is his own mother, Mahaprabhu loved his mother so much. Mahaprabhu, after taking sannyas, and then he comes to Shantipur, Advaita Acharya's house, and there Sachimata also comes. And then looking at Sachimata crying, he says to Advaita Acharya, what a fool I was. I took sannyas. I now realize the mistake. I am ready. I will give up my sannyas right now. This is when hardly 5 days after sannyas, Mahaprabhu is saying, I'm ready to give up my sannyas and I will go back with Sachimata. I'll go back. It is my duty to take care of her. She has no one now with her. How could I do in some foolish thought I took sannyas like this? He repents. So that much Mahaprabhu loved Sachimata. And of course, then Sachimata's glory is even more. She tells the Lord that for my pleasure, surely I will be very happy if you come back. But if you come back, the whole world will criticize you. That you took sannyas and then you gave up in 5 days. I cannot tolerate even one person criticizing you. So therefore, you be in sannyas vesh, continue your preaching activities, but don't go too far away from me. You stay in Jagannath Puri, which is very close to Navadvipa. So I will keep getting news and I will know what is happening with you. So therefore, Mahaprabhu resided in Puri Dham. And even when he was a sannyasi in Puri, he was taking care of his mother very well. Whenever devotees would go to Navadvip, they would come to Puri, visit the Lord, and then they would go back to Bengal. At that time, Mahaprabhu would specifically pack Jagannath's dry prasadam and send it for Shachimata and tell the devotees that please tell my mother that I'm always thinking of her. And when she offers to Krishna Balaram in home bhoga, I am receiving that bhoga on in the altar. So please tell her that I'm never away from her. In her altar, I'm always there. So in this way, the Lord always took care of his mother. That is how much the Lord loves his dear devotees. A beautiful comment Mataji has said, one more example of offending a Vaishnava that the Lord cannot tolerate. That was Amogha. Amogha offended the Supreme Lord. And Sarvam Bhattacharya, the devotee, look at how much the devotee cares for the pleasure of the Lord. So Sarvam Bhattacharya, he did not even see it as his own son-in-law. So here we find a father-in-law, son-in-law, Daksha and Shiva, who are having this kind of a tension. They're envious of each other. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find another father-in-law and son-in-law. Look at them. Sarvam Bhattacharya is angry on Amogha because he is going to hinder his service to the Supreme Lord, the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. That is devotees. That is their devotees' mindset. They will love everyone which is favorable to Krishna's service. If something is unfavorable to Krishna's service, then they will never accept that thing. So, Sarva Bhattacharya's son-in-law was Amogha. He was a very person of critical mentality, and Sarva Bhattacharya knew that this person will eventually offend Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore, whenever Mahaprabhu would come home, whenever there would be an association of Mahaprabhu, he will always ensure that this Amogha is not there in the picture, because he did not want the Lord to be insulted. But finally, one time we know that how Amogha he came when Mahaprabhu was accepting Prashadam in the house of Sarva Bhattacharya, and he passed many critical statements. And Sarva Bhattacharya got so upset, he took a stick and he began to chase Amogha, beating him. And the wife of Sarva Bhattacharya, she says, I don't mind if my daughter becomes a widow, but let this person die because of the offense he has committed to the Lord. So that is an example of another father-in-law and mother-in-law in service of the Lord. So therefore, the Lord does not tolerate any offense, any neglect of his devotees. And we should remember that just not only those who are in ISKCON or who are practicing devotees are devotees, but even the demigods are actually devotees. Many times devotees forget that demigods are devotees. They think, demigod worship is wrong. We should not go that side. If we see demigod temple, we should go the other side. Yes, we should not worship them specifically. But when we see demigod temples, when we get to or we somehow visit the temples of demigod, we should show them the proper honor. As devotees of the Lord, we should offer obeisances to them. We should accept their prasad. We should pray to them. Because when Prabhupada says that when we see someone greater than us, it is one way of respecting them is to ask something from them. If we don't ask something from them, it is a way of insulting them. So therefore, when we go to demigod temple, we should pray to them that, oh, whoever it is, oh Lord Shiva, please give me devotion to the Lord. Always ask them for something. So in that way, we should respect the demigods and all the devotees around us. Let's proceed to text 4.
Suma Mataji, you can read the shloka and the translation. Vasudha Mataji, you can read the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams. Tasmin brahmarshaya sarve devarshi pitrudevata asan krita swastya yanas tatpatnyascha sa bhartrika. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. While the sacrifice was being performed, many Brahmarshis, sages, ancestral demigods, and other demigods, their wives, all are very, very nicely decorated with ornaments attended from different parts of the universe. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat pranam. Purport Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In any auspicious ceremony, such as marriage ceremony, sacrificial ceremony, or puja ceremony, it is auspicious for married women to decorate themselves very nicely with ornaments, fine clothing, and cosmetics. These are auspicious signs. Many heavenly women assembled with their Deva. That great sacrifice is named Brihaspati Sava. It is specifically mentioned in this verse that they appeared with their husbands, for which a woman is decorated nicely. Her husband becomes more cheerful. The nice decorations, ornaments, and dresses of the wives of the demigods and sages, and the cheerfulness of the demigods and sages themselves were all auspicious signs for the ceremony. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
So here we see that the sacrifice was going to start. Everyone was invited. Daksha has invited everyone except Lord Shiva. So then everyone is going to attend this event. The Brahma Rishis, the great sages, Devarshi, Pitra, Devataha, the ancestors, the demigods, and all were with Tat Patnyascha Sa Bhartrika. All these personalities are going with their wives. And these wives were all very nicely decorated. They were all dressed the most finest garment because it is a very big event, social event for them. All the demigods are meeting, just like we go for social events like weddings and all. Sages, demigods, they also go for this kind of social events, and there they also dress very nicely. And Shri Prabhupada mentioned some beautiful points for Matajis to follow. Like one should dress, Mataji should always dress very nicely with ornaments, fine clothing, and cosmetics. And Shri Prabhupada many times has mentioned that ornaments means of precious metals like gold or silver. Ornaments of plastic and other new age ornaments, they are not considered as ornaments actually. One should always decorate oneself with ornaments of precious metals. They are considered ornaments. And then they were all coming and they were all in a very cheerful mood. The Mazis are very cheerful, the Prabhujis are very cheerful, and they're all happily going. So this all is actually building up to Sati's disappointment. Everyone is very cheerfully going. So this whole description of how they were all next 5 to 7 words will describe the way they were all decorated, the what they were all talking. And all these things was actually coming to the ears of Sati. She was seeing all these things. And therefore, next we will see what is her reaction. Let's go to text 5 to 7. Next.
Hare Krishna. तदुपश्रित्य नभसि खेचराणां प्रजल्पतां सती दाक्षायणी देवी पितृयज्ञमहोत्सवं व्रजन्ति हि सर्वतो दिग्भ्य उपदेववरस्त्रियः विमानयानः सप्रेष्ठा निष्ककण्ठीः सुवाससः दृष्टा स्वनिलयाभ्यासो लोलाक्षिर्मृष्टकुण्डलः पतिं भूतपतिं देवम् औत्सुक्यादभ्यभाषत. Kripa Mai Seva Devi Dasi Mataji, you can read the translation. Mataji, we want the purport also, right? Sunila
you,
Shri
Mataji.
Radha Devi Dasi Mataji, you do the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandatnam. Mataji, thank you, Mataji, Dandatnam. Hare Krishna, the chaste lady Sati, the daughter of Daksha, heard the heavenly denizens flying in the skies, conversing about the great sacrifice being performed by her father. When she saw that from all directions, the beautiful wives of the heavenly denizens, and their eyes were beautifully glittering, were near her residence and were going to the sacrifice, dressed in fine clothing and ornamented with earrings and necklaces with lockets, she approached her husband, the master of Buddhas, in great anxiety and spoke as follows. Purport, shall I continue, Mataji?
No, Sunila Shri Radha Devi Dasi Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It appears that the residence of Lord Shiva was not on this planet, but somewhere in outer space. Otherwise, how could Sati have seen the airplanes coming from different directions towards this planet and heard the passengers talking about the great sacrifice being performed by Daksha? Sati is described here as Dakshayani because she was the daughter of Daksha. The mention of Upadeva Vara refers to inferior demigods like Gandharvas, Kinnaras, and Puragas, who are not exactly demigods but between the demigods and human beings. They were also coming in planes. The word Swanilaya Bhyase indicates that they were passing right near their residential quarters. The dresses and bodily features of the wives of the heavenly denizens are very nicely described here. Their eyes moved, their earrings and other ornaments glittered and glared. Their dresses were the nicest possible, and all of them had special lockets on their necklaces. Each woman was accompanied by her husband. Thus, they looked so beautiful that Sati Dakshayani was impelled to dress similarly and go to the sacrifice with her husband. That is a natural inclination of a woman. Hari.
So Sati, she sees this beautiful scenario. And just look at the opulence of the heavenly planet. Each personality have their own plane. They're all going in their celestial airplanes. All husband and wife, all beautifully decorated. The Sanskrit is so beautiful. Bhagavatam gives such details to how they were all going. Vrishta Kundalaha. just not kundalaha, just not earring, Vrishka kundala, nice earrings. And they were all lolakshis. They were all having beautiful glittering eyes. Akshi means eyes. Lolakshi means the eyes are moving here and there. So they were also excited to go for the event. And they were all having Nishka Kantihi. They are wearing necklaces. Necklaces were having beautiful lockets. What beautiful description of details Srimad Bhagavatam has. And they were all going in the Nabhasi. They were all going in the sky. They were all flying. Kecharaha. So they all had their airplanes and all these. And who are all these? They are not some big demigod personalities. They are all just Upadeva Vara. They are all only Upadevatas, or they are not demigods, they are smaller demigods like these Gandharvas, Siddhas, Charanas, Uragas, Kinnaras. These are all personalities between human beings and demigods. So they were all so excitedly going. So Sati was like, when these people are all going, and where are they going? The word used is, they were all going to her house. Pitra Yajna Mahotsavam, the festival of sacrifice performed by her father. They are all going to her own home only. So she was like, when all these personalities are decorated so nicely and so excitedly going to my home, why should I not go to my home? So this was her interest from all directions. So Prabhupada beautifully takes this point out. He says, so if Sati is seeing this from one point, that they're all going to another point in the air, that means the home, the residence of Lord Shiva is not in this earthly planet, but it is in the outer space. There is a Shiva Loka separately. It's called the Kailasha. So there, and Sati, she is described in this word, in this verse, she is described as Dakshayani. Let's see, where is it? So Sati is called Dakshayani, the daughter of Daksha. So she sees all these things and she is in great anxiety. She is outsukya because she knows that the relationship between her husband and her father is not so good. But now she wants to go for the sacrifice. And she knows that she has to take permission from her husband. And she knows that her husband is not going to give permission. So with great anxiety, she is going to go and ask him. That is where we will stop today. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So beautifully explained, Mataji. First of all, the revision of the synopsis of the entire.
Shilpa Mataji, your voice is very low, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, am I audible now?
Yes,
Yeah,
Mataji.
now better, Mataji.
Okay. I'm so sorry. Okay, Mataji, the explanation and the synopsis that you covered, Mataji, was very, very helpful, and it went in a flow where we could, understand everything properly, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. Can we take questions, Mataji?
Yes.
Yeah, Anita Mataji, you can ask your question, and then Padma Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, all glory to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for such a wonderful class. And this makes us to remember that we should not be puffed up, as you said in the class, and we should not be envious. And my question is, at last you were saying the Shivaloka, right? So, which means Kailash Loka. So that is within this material world, right?
Yes, within this material world, but not in our planet.
Means, can you explain? Means not in the earthly planet you're saying, right?
Yes, not on the Bhu. Yes, it's a heavenly planet. So we are 14 planetary system, no? So it is in the outer space. It is not in this particular Earth.
Okay, got it. Okay, ma'am. Okay, Mataji. Thank you so much. I hope the little one is feeling good.
Yes, she's feeling good. She's sleeping now.
Okay. You're peacefully taking the classes, right? Hare Krishna.
Padma Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Thank you, Pranam. Wonderful class, Mataji. Very nicely explained. I have one doubt about this demigod worship and taking prasadam. Some classes, they say you must respect and then you can accept prasadam. Some say no, you don't. Now, so there's a little confusion in this, Mataji. Can you please clarify this?
whether we should accept prasadam in demigod temples or not.
Yes. Some say yes, some say no. So it's very confusing.
If we go to demigod temple, we happen to be there, and someone is offering us prasadam, then we should not say no to it.
Yeah, that's
We
right.
should accept the prasadam. We should honor the prasadam.
Yeah, but then should we eat it or not?
Yes, I mean, accept means that's
Yeah,
not
because no, Mataji, because some say you can honor by accepting it, but then give it to somebody, and some say you can eat it. So there's a little confusion on this.
when you accept and give it to somebody, also you're actually rejecting it only. No.
Yeah, so that's the thing. That's a problem.
So it
Mataji,
is-
many demigod temples they use onion and garlic also. Many places I have seen.
in that situation, then we cannot accept it because
No,
that
but
the
suppose
demigod will not have
but
accepted.
supposing they give us sweet shira or something. That's what sometimes mithai they give.
Yes.
I'm referring to mostly those food. Of course, we don't take generally.
That
We
is
just say
then
we
we
are
can
fasting or
accept.
something. You can escape like that,
So
saying we
if
are
we are,
fasting.
if it is an ekadashi which we cannot have, then it is a different thing.
Yeah.
But if it is a situation where we can have, it is without onion, garlic. See, if it is having onion, garlic, or meat or anything like that, then that the demigod themselves will not accept. So it is not
That's true.
like Prabhupada explains in Durga Puja time. We offer these. They offer meat in Calcutta. I mean Bengal. They offer meat as bhoga to the Lord. It is very important part of the ritual, worshipping ritual. So Prabhupada says that we offer this, but actually it's accepted by the followers of Durga and of Kali and Shiva who are the ghost. So what the devotees eat is actually ghost prasadam, not Shiva or Durga's prasadam. So that is not acceptable. We of course reject that. But when it is sattvic prasadam that is offered to the demigods, that we can accept unless we are not fasting, unless it is ekadashi or something like that. We can surely accept and honor the prasadam. Of course, we
Mataji,
cannot request for prasadam. If it comes on its own accord to our hand, we should not say no.
Mataji, Hare Krishna Mataji. But as Padma Mataji said, even I heard in another lecture, Mataji, another Prabhuji was saying that when it is demigod prasadam, Mataji, demigods do not offer it to Krishna, so demigod prasadam should not be accepted, is what he said, Mataji. So even I have that doubt, Mataji.
No, why will demigod not offer it to the Lord? See, worshipping when people worship demigods, they are also part and parcel of the Lord only. So they are worshipping. It's Bhagavad Gita says it is avidhi purvakam worship, but it is actually worship of the Lord only. It is going through the different channel, but they're at least worshipping the people who are appointed by the Lord. We are not talking about prasadam from Sai Baba temple or something. That is all completely out of question. These are properly appointed demigods appointed by the Lord. No, they are the Lord's representative in this material world. Indra, Chandra, Shiva, Brahma, they are all Lord's representative in this world. So therefore, they are proper people only. They are proper channels. So when it is worshipped, when it is properly worshipped to them, offered to them, and that prasadam, we are not going to the temple and standing in the queue and not asking for prasadam. If it comes on its own accord to us, we can take a small portion and honor it. As a prasadam, our mood is also very important. We accepted it as the prasadam of a devotee. Like when some devotees come to our house and we serve them, and then we want their remnants, uchishta. Like some Maharaj have prasadam and go, then we devotees we go and fight for that plate to get some remnants of sannyasis. So like that, it is then we accept it as a remnant of one Vaishnava.
Thank you. Okay, with the thought in mind, we can take it.
This is what I follow.
Okay, Mataji, thank you so much.
In regard to this topic of demigod worship, one more thing I would like to say. My mother just reminded me that when we go for Kshetra Darshan, we go to some holy place, a tirtha, to take darshan of one particular temple, say one Vishnu temple, and in that particular area, there is one more ancient temple of Lord Shiva or some demigod. Then we should, as devotees, visit that also. We should not just go to Vishnu temple and come. Why I'm saying is I had a personal experience of this. When we went to Ekachakra Dham, Nityananda Prabhu's birthplace, it was Ekachakra temple inauguration. It was a few years ago, nearly 7-8 years ago. we were Mayapur ISKCON Ekachakra, they inaugurated a big temple in Ekachakra for Nityananda Prabhu. Before that, it was a small hut-like temple. So everyone from Mayapur, we all went. It was the inauguration happened on Advaita Acharya's appearance day. So we all went. So that time, the senior devotees, sannyasis there, they told us, Ekachakra is very close to Tarapeeth, which is one of the Shakti Peeth. So there, I don't know which part of Sati fell down when they were in that place, but it is one of the Shakti Peeth. So it's a very ancient temple. It's a proper way of worship. Of course, there they offer meat and everything to Ma Tara, and it is a very a very ignorant way of worship. What they do, tantric Tara worship, Devi worship is in that form, in that mode only. But the senior devotee is told that since you have come to this place and this area, she is one of the prominent deities of area. We have to go and take her darshan. And so all the senior devotees unless would come, they all went and took darshan of Ma Tara. Of course, we did not accept any prasadam from there except for flowers and all, because that is all offered with meat and all. But we went and took darshan and we came. So therefore, when we go to such a temple, like for example, you go to Kanchipuram, there you go to see Vardaraja, Lord Vardaraja. There is also Ekambareshwarar and Kanchi Kamakshi, who are ancient temples there. So devotees, we should also, if we have time, we should not knowingly neglect that place. If we have time and possibility, we should go and take darshan and offer our respects to those deities also. There's one more point that I wanted to mention.
Thank you so much, Mataji. That was really very clear, Mataji. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mataji. We will do Damodar Ashtakam now. Jigisha Mataji is showing her altar, and Ansuya Mataji is not there, I guess. Anybody all wants to recite the Damodar Ashtakam
Hare
today?
Krishna. I can do Mataji.
Yeah, Vasudha Mataji will recite. Jigisha Mataji's altar is seen. I will try and pin her spotlight for everyone. Okay. Hari
Can I
bol.
start my
Yes, yes, Mataji.
नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपम् लसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले व्राजमानम् यशोदाभिलोलुकलद्धावमानम् परामृष्टमत्यन्ततो द्रुतगोप्य हृदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रयुग्मं व्रजन्तम् कराम्बोजयुग्मेन शातङ्कनेत्रम् मुहुश्वासकम्पत्रिरेकाङ्ककण्ठ स्थितग्रैव भक्तिबद्धम् इति दृक्स्वलीलाभिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तमाख्यापयन्तम् तदीयेषितज्ञेषु भक्तैर्जितत्वम् पुनः प्रेमतस्तं सदा हृदि वन्दे वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षावधिं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरे साधिपीह इदं देवपूर्णादगोपालबालम् सदा मे मनस्या विरस्तां किमनैः इदं ते मुकाम्बोजमत्यन्तनिर्लैर्वृतं कुण्टलैः स्निग्धरक्तैश्च गोप्य मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तादरं मे मनस्या विरस्ताम् अलं लक्षलाब्धैः ओ देवदामोदरानन्तविष्णो प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजालाब्धिमग्नं कृपादृष्टिदृष्टैति दीनं बतानो गृहाणेश मामज्ञयेद्यक्षसीदृश्यः कुबेरात्मजौ बद्धमूर्तैव यद्वत् त्वया मोचितौ भक्तिभाजौ कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकामे प्रयश्च न मोक्षे सग्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेह नमस्ते स्तु दाम्ने स्फुरद्दीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदरायात विश्वस्य दाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमो नन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यां नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमो नन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यां नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमो नन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यां हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा thank you very much Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. Very nice, Mataji. Thank you, Jigisha
Thank you.
Mataji, for showing the altar.
My pleasure, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Mataji is there? I think she has left. Okay, we'll end the session. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna to all devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Pranam to all Mataji.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai
Hare
Srila
Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Ananta Koti Lakshmi ki jai.
Thank you all devotees. Hare Krishna to all.
Thank you.